Hi, this is Max Rodersman from Does It Matter and Why? Once again, we have Craig Kelly reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Or it might not be Atlanta, it's just Georgia. Actually, he'll have to clear that up. How you
I'm
doing,
doing
Craig?
very well, Max. Thank you. I am not in Atlanta today. I am in Marietta, Georgia, which is part of Cobbs County, adjacent to Atlanta, but not the same jurisdiction.
And let me also mention that it's October 31st,
Happy
Halloween
Halloween
Day, I
indeed.
believe. Okay, so you've been going to. I noticed that where you were walking yesterday was a much nicer, more urban
I wouldn't
neighborhood.
say nicer. It
So I
was
take
it
it you're
was
now
different.
different. Yeah.
Definitely more urban.
So tell me about the different places that you've been
So
going
right
to.
now I'll just move around a little bit. I am in the fairgrounds. So this is the Cobb County Outdoor Arena area, and it's a fairgrounds for a big chunk of Georgia. You can see some of the stuff behind me. There's not a monorail, but like a ski lift that goes the length of the fairgrounds. The chairs aren't running, of course, but it's there. There's a roller coaster. There's exhibit areas. There's all sorts of stuff here. And they turned one of the big buildings, part of it, exhibition hall. They probably have livestock or something in there during fair time. They turned that into the voting hall today. So that's this particular place. Yesterday, I was at a local library in Atlanta, different jurisdiction. Other times, I've been at the headquarters of the Cobb County Elections Commission. I've been at other libraries. I've been at senior centers and civic centers. What happens is they find places that meet the logistical demands of this thing, this early voting. So they have to have parking. They have to either have or be able to build handicapped accessibility. They've got to have enough space to put the machines in so that folks can vote privately. It's really quite the challenge to make it all happen. So every place is different. It's not like someone designed these buildings to be voting places. They're designed to do something else. And then for a couple of weeks during every other year, or whenever it is they have elections, they might have special elections and whatnot, they get turned into voting places, or parts of them get turned into voting places. So right now, that library I was at yesterday has probably got kids coming in there and their moms and dads to take out books. And at the same time, they've got to be running a voting center. So it's quite the challenge and very impressive how well they do it.
Yeah, it sounds it. I mean, I think that's my one takeaway so far of all these days we've been talking is how professionally and how well run these voting
it
centers
Max, if
are.
I had $1 for every person that has said something like quick and easy, or wow, that was fast, I'd be a rich man. People are just thrilled. They show up, they park, and everyone drives here. There's like maybe yesterday people were walking. It was a more dense sort of urban place with sidewalks, but otherwise, pretty much everyone drives everywhere, to include to go vote. So they come in, they park, they get out of their car, and then they go vote. And maybe they wait in line for 5 minutes if I'm because I'm timing people too. So there's really no wait
Right.
before they start that process. And the process itself takes maybe 5 minutes. So they could be in their car again 10, 12 minutes after getting out of their car, if that. And they're just thrilled. The people that are running the polls are all placed in manners to make sure that the crowd knows where to go, so you don't have people walking in and out of the same doors, and that way it helps make sure folks don't get confused about where they are in the voting process. It's really well done, and to think that this is done with people who don't do this every day. This is not done with professionals. It's incredible.
So, normally the past week it was hard for you to get out during the day, but today now it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30. It was easy for you to get out. Why is
Well,
that?
there are two reasons. One, it seems, in my opinion, to have slowed down a little bit. And two, I've become really, really used to the idea that the people who are doing this know their jobs really, really well. And I'm there to observe, and it's important that I'm there to observe, but I'm not seeing mistakes. I'm not seeing anything I can go fix. And most importantly, because I don't actually fix the mistakes, I would just notify the people that I report to. Most importantly, I'm not seeing people show up today and get turned away because they don't have the proper ID card or vote provisionally because they're not on the rolls or something like that. And that's my big task here, is to help make sure that people who can vote do vote, and everyone that's walking in the door this morning is voting.
Right. Well, another reason I think is, Halloween, most old people, at least me, I don't want to take a chance of getting hit by an egg by some kids. So
Well,
generally, I think most people stay at home.
you're
Like
living in
Halloween.
the past. I think if you're worried about getting hit by an egg,
Oh,
but there are no kids here.
I think you're
This
right.
is
I think you're right, but I still bet a lot of people are thinking, I'm not going to go vote on
maybe
Halloween. You know,
maybe they're thinking that. Maybe they're looking at the kind of overcast, damp day, but there's still a steady stream
right,
of people coming in. Not vast long lines, but a steady stream. And the people that run it, they know how to make it happen. It reminds me of when I was at airborne school, when I was in college, and I, I made the mistake of hanging out at the barracks one time, and these officers or staff NCOs or whatever came in and said, "Kelly," and whoever else was there with me, "you come with us." And so they hustled us down to some big building, maybe like one of these ones I'm walking by, and they gave us various parts of a parachute, and they had us fold these parachutes. And I'd never folded a parachute before and jumped out of them or was in the process of learning how to. So I knew it was important to do it right. And they had probably 20 of us grabbing different, not corners because these things are round, but grabbing different parts of parachutes. And they would say something like, okay, number 4, take 3 steps forward and move your right arm clockwise, or whatever the rules were. So everyone who was designated number 4 did exactly that thing and then stopped. And then they'd say, okay, number 3, take 2 steps backwards and turn counterclockwise, or whatever that might be. And we all did this stuff just like we were told. And at the end, we all had perfectly packed parachutes. And parachutes aren't something you can make mistakes with. When you need to use a parachute, it has got to work. And yet, even though we had no experience with doing this stuff, the Army, in this case it was the Army Airborne School, entrusted a bunch of teenagers essentially to pack these things with the right supervision and the right plan. And that's kind of what's going on here. You've got a bunch of serious people paying attention to the rules, and the setup has been so thoroughly thought out that it's sort of like me packing parachutes. They pay attention, they follow the rules, they follow the directions, and it goes really smoothly. And I think it'll continue to go smoothly because I'm just not seeing huge stresses on the system yet. We'll see what happens on election day. Election day, there are going to be probably 13 times as many places to vote because they take it to the precincts then. And that may wind up creating some hiccups because every place will be set up just for that one day. And there are always challenges inherent with a new setup. So we might have some bumps then. These places mostly have been open for 2 weeks now. So they've got it down. They've got the teamwork going, all that stuff. So election day may be a little bumpier, but they've done this before, and I'm very impressed.
yeah, it sounds it. All right. Well, anything else to report for today?
Well, as you can see, this fairground's pretty extensive, and just from a Cambridge guy's perspective, simply where the voting takes place and how people get there is really indicative of some of the differences we see in this country. So where I live, I walk across the street just about, and I go vote. Some people drive half a mile to get there or whatever on their way to work.
Right.
Here, I mean, this fairground's probably the size of North Cambridge. It's got well, you'll see, I'll turn around there, you can see it behind me. There's a, what do you call those things? A roller coaster. Yeah, there's a roller coaster here, and there's a pond. And this is a very different place. And I think it's important for all of us to realize that there's a lot of authority in the states to run elections. And as long as it's done fairly and the vote is not suppressed and every legal vote is cast and every cast vote is counted, it's not all going to look the same. It's not all going to be the way we do it in Cambridge or the way they do it here in Georgia. And as long as we all get to that same result, we're in a good place. Obviously, I have hopes for who wins, but my most important thing is the sanctity of the process and the vote itself. And ideally, people make the choice I agree with, but as long as that choice is made fairly, without suppression and so forth, then I can uncomfortably, but still successfully live with the result.
Yeah, I feel the same way. All right. Well, thanks for the update, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again
Sounds good,
tomorrow.
buddy. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.